Hey everybody, hope you're well. Happy Friday. We're coming to you from San Diego Pride, and today we are celebrating the work of Front Runners San Diego. They are the hosts of our Pride 5K every year. My name is Serafina Scapicchio. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm the Director of Philanthropy here at San Diego Pride, and I am not a runner, at least that's what I used to say, but the generosity of Front Runners and Walkers San Diego really moved me this year. I said, you know what, I never get to run in the Pride 5K, and this year I have to train and I have to talk to these folks about what they're doing, because some of you who may not know about Front Runners, they were formed in 1981. They're actually a part of an international group of running enthusiasts and walking enthusiasts. Over 100 Front Runner clubs exist worldwide. And this is a funny fact, the club name comes from a 1974 novel called The Front Runner, which was about a gay coach and their star athlete. So I have to pick that one up. I haven't read that one yet. But the goal of Front Runners is to provide running and walking activities for LGBTQ folks and their family and friends, and they welcome people of all abilities. I certainly fit into that category of all abilities. I am an absolute beginner, and I'm so excited to run the 5K, the Pride 5K this year, because it is virtual. You can do it from anywhere, and the proceeds will support our center, our gorgeous youth housing project over the center, and San Diego Pride's year-round program. So I'm so excited to bring to you today Andrew, Marcia, and Alan from Front Runners. Hey everybody, are you there? There you are. Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. Welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you. Please introduce yourself. Let's go one by one. Give us your names, your pronouns, and what you do with Front Runners.
Great. I guess I'll start. I'm Andy Klinke. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I am the 2020 race director for the San Diego Pride 5K.
Fantastic.
Great. And I'm Alan Kwok. Welcome, everyone. My pronouns are he, him, and his, and I'm one of the co-membership directors on the club.
Great. My name is Marcia. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I am the other membership co-chair along with Alan.
Well, welcome. I'm going to be talking to you both about membership a little bit later because I love this so far. I am so excited that you're all here, and I'm excited to participate in the virtual 5K for the first time. So what is the history? I know it's virtual this year, but what's the history of the Pride 5K? How did it get started?
Yeah, well, I can go ahead and take that one. The Pride 5K, the first running was in 1982. Actually, it was just before, in June of 1982, just before the first anniversary of the club, the San Diego Front Runners organization started in 1981. And it happened entirely in Balboa Park, so our club meets in Balboa Park normally. There was no Pride Parade that year that I'm aware of, at least not at the time that the Pride 5K happened. And there was no course. So one of the members of the Front Runners organization just led the group of just about 80 runners around the park.
Amazing.
On a route, so who knows how long it was. And I guess that gentleman actually won the race because he was leading everybody. But then all the participants stayed in the park and had a picnic. And food, I think, as our membership co-chairs will tell you about, is a big part of the Front Runners organization. That was kind of the beginning. And it's happened almost every year since. So for the first about 20 years, it was occurring in a kind of an informal, smaller basis in Balboa Park. And then early 2000s, the leadership started to partner with the Pride organization, and we were able to move it onto the streets of Hillcrest. And for about the last 10 years, up until this year, Enrique Fonseca was the race director, and he took the race from just a few hundred participants to now well over 1,000. And from being a small community organization event to a event that raised money for important charities. And so under his leadership, we've actually donated about $97,000 worth of proceeds over the last just 10 years
That is
to our
amazing.
charity
Thank
partners.
you. That's wonderful. And you're keeping our community fit in the process, right? And giving them a healthy stress outlet. So I love all of that. So there's a zillion 5Ks. There's a hot chocolate 5K. There's an 85K. What is the importance of having a Pride 5K for queer people? Like, what is special about that? Let's hear from our membership chairs.
Yeah.
Well, because it's the most fun 5K you'll ever run or you'll ever participate. I think that is, I think it is really about the community. It's about the culture of the race. It is very family oriented. It is really about the family, you know, of the LGBT community. We are here to support each other, whether you identify as an LGBT community or not. So I think that is one part of a little bit different than other 5Ks that you see.
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
And
I love the spirit.
And while it might not be this year, most years we run along the parade route. And so you get, you know, a lot of people are setting up and you get that energy of the people that are setting up for the parade cheering you on. And that's really fun too.
Yay. Well, I hope we get some cheering on virtually. I know I'm already working on my outfit, so I'm hoping that somebody cheers for me as I'm running around there. Tell us about this year. So it's a virtual event. How does that work?
Yeah, so the virtual event this year, people can sign up. Pride5k.run is the website. And you register, you get one of these really cool Pride 5K neck gaiters I'm showing off here. So you can you can wear it as a face covering during your event. And then on the weekend of San Diego Pride, which is July 17th to the 19th, you choose when you want to go out. You go for a run, record it on your GPS watch or your phone, or just know that where you're running is about 5K, which is 3.1 miles. You'll actually get an email before the event that will have a little race bib that you can print out if you wanted to wear that during your event or take photos with your, race bib. Yeah. So you put on your best rainbow gear, head out, choose your favorite route. If you need some suggestions actually for routes, our club members have been posting their favorite 5K routes on our website and social media right now. And then after the event, you know, throw some pictures on social media, tag front runners, walkers. We got a bunch of different hashtags that we're using this year, and you can submit your results, your time online through our registration platform, see how you compared to other participants. And then we have some great prizes that we're going to be announcing that are going to be distributed out to our participants as well. So.
Okay, I'm excited. So how can people support? I mean, you talked about registering. Is there other ways to get involved? Can they donate? Can they sponsor? What's the deal? Yeah,
absolutely. You can, registration is a great way to support the event. You can make a direct donation through our website and registration platform. And we're, of course, we're looking for sponsors as well. We got some great sponsors involved this year, Mission Fed, Blue Shield, to name a few. Great sponsors of the event, and but we're always looking for more. Yeah. Okay, good. Well, they're going to be hitting you up, I'm sure. And this is not just a for-profit thing that you do. It's an event that raises money, right? So there's two charities. I know Pride, but tell us about what those two charities do. Yeah. Why you picked those. Well, I can say a little bit about the first charity partner relationship that we established was with the Sunburst Youth Housing Project. It's kind of a tongue twister for me, with the San Diego LGBT Center. So we've been supporting them since the early 2000s. And I personally feel like this is a really important charity because it affects the youth in the LGBT community who have higher homelessness rates than non-queer youth in the same age ranges. So they have 40% of our homeless youth identify as LGBT, and this was Sunburst was one of the very first shelters. I think it's 24 beds, it might be 26 now, facility to house our homeless youth. So yes, absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous charity to give to. That's wonderful. Yeah, exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you. So let's talk about the impact. Aside from the obvious health benefits, what do you think
organizations like Front Runners have on members of the LGBT community? We already heard some startling statistics about how we're more negatively impacted by COVID-19. And even before that, we had some health disparities with our heterosexual counterparts that we weren't doing as well or staying as healthy. So what do you think, Front Runners? How can Front Runners help folks?
Sure. Go ahead, Marsha.
So I think there's a few, obviously the physical benefits are important and so are the mental health benefits. I think that two of the really important indirect benefits of Front Runners are this community feel. I think, we all have varying degrees of strength of our support network, and part of Front Runners is offering this community and part of this network. And I think the other part that's really important to stress is visibility. I think that, we never know who we're being a voice for, and it's really important for us to be vocal and visible and really active in positive ways in our community. And I think that's something that Front Runners really embraces.
I love that answer, because you talked about a network. It's really, Front Runners has grown beyond San Diego, right? It's a whole movement, isn't it? It's like an international network of clubs at this point.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, it is. And I remember when I first moved to San Diego, I was living in New Zealand and I joined the Wellington Front Runners. And I think it is a great way, this is in New Zealand, and it is a great way to meet people and, to create a social network. I think that can last for, years and lifetime. And I think many of our members are long-term members, and, and when I came to the Front Runners group, and it was it was very welcoming. And I got to meet many of my friends there. Yeah.
Yay. I love that story. So tell me a little bit for each of you then. Andy, how did you get involved in Front Runners and Walkers, and has it had a positive impact on your life?
Absolutely. So I was aware of Front Runners before I moved to San Diego. And the first weekend that I moved to San Diego 7 years ago, I went and met up with Front Runners, and I was, it was my source for getting in touch with the gay community in San Diego, because I'm not a person who goes to bars or is on the different, apps and whatnot that are available. So it just is a way to really connect with people for me. And I also have visited with Front Runner clubs from internationally. Like I visited Edinburgh one year and I went and met up with their front running organization. But probably the biggest impact that it's had on my personal life and me personally is that my fiance I met at Front Runners. So
no way! Congratulations! That's fabulous. Oh, there you are. Yeah. That's so sweet. I love it.
Yeah. So,
and is he a runner as well?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's a great story.
Yeah.
Marsha, I don't know how you're.
Andy, so.
Marsha, how are you going to top that story? How did you get involved in Front Runners?
Well, I will try to top that, Andy, because I arrived in San Diego on a Friday afternoon, and the next morning I went to my first Front Runners run.
Yes, I love it.
So I hadn't even been here 24 hours, but I distinctly remember that first run with Front Runners because somebody came up to me right away. It was the then membership chair, and introduced himself. Asked me about myself, introduced me to other people, which was really important, made sure that somebody was in, my same pace and distance group. And I think it's just really reflective of the very welcoming and inclusive atmosphere. It's not one of these running clubs where you show up and you sit in the back and nobody notices that you're new and then you run this route by yourself and people just leave you behind. It's just very, very much a community welcoming environment.
Well, thank you for saying that, because as a person, I'm over 40. I don't feel, I used to tell myself, I couldn't run. I would picture myself going to this group and being surrounded by very fit people who I could never catch up with. So what you're saying is, let's like hash this out a little bit more. I'm going to come to, when everything's post-COVID, I'm going to come to one of your meetings. What would I find at one of your meetings? What would the experience be like for me as a new person interested in Front Runners?
Well, you'll see all of us circled up by the big tree. That's a good way to find us. We always tell people we're under the big tree. And then somebody, probably me or Alan or both of us and somebody else will introduce ourselves and ask you about yourself and make sure that if you're a runner, you're paired with a runner, who's your pace. If you're a walker, that you find the other walkers. And so I think that's really an important piece is, introducing yourself and helping you meet the other people around you.
Yep. And so you walk or run, and I think it's very important that we want to welcome anyone who is a runner as well as walkers, because we have a group, a few groups that, of walkers as well as runners. And then you get to mingle, if you're walkers, if you're running, you can still mingle, if you have the stamina or energy to do that. And at the end, you gather around, we usually provide water or refreshments. And then we meet at the Hillcrest Hub for breakfast. So, we meet at
so you get like a little nosh afterwards. That's fantastic.
You can grab whatever breakfast you want, and we meet in the public area in the Hillcrest Hub, and and you just get to know everybody. Yeah.
So how can people learn more about front runners? If they're loving what they're hearing right now, what would you encourage them to do right now?
So you can find us online, frwsd.org. That stands for Front Runners Walkers San Diego. We're also on Meetup, Instagram, and Facebook.
Whoa,
and
okay.
One of the best ways is to become a member and sign up for the newsletter. And then we get usually we try to do weekly updates about what's going on in the club.
Weekly updates on what's going on? That's fantastic. So even now during COVID-19, people want to learn more about the virtual Pride K. Is it a different website or go to that same website?
Yep.
You can link to it through that website. Yeah.
Okay.
And you can even if you don't remember, front runners, walkers as, runners or walkers, you can just Google, if you're like gay running group, San Diego, a link will be there. If you're a lesbian, you can do that. If you're queer, you can just like type in queer runner or walker San Diego, a link will be there. So feel free, just Google it. we are online.
Fantastic. And I, for example, have been doing Couch to 5K for a couple of weeks, but what if they haven't started yet? Do they still have enough time to get ready for the virtual 5K? And how would you encourage them to start? Like just download an app? How did you get started?
I walk. I think the 5K, yes, I walk and run.
Perfect.
Depends on my mood, of course, on the morning. And I think, when we talk about 5K, it is not, you don't have to run the whole thing. You can walk the whole thing too. If you can walk a few blocks, in the beginning, great, and you just keep walking. I think most people can walk maybe, a few blocks and then continue to build that up. And you can, lo and behold, probably in a week or two, you will be able to walk a 3.1K distance or 3.1 mile distance or 5K distance. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Any other tips and tricks from the other folks?
I just think start where you're at. If you can find a physically distanced running buddy, that helps too. Someone to keep you motivated. Many of us are on Strava. That helps us track our workouts and keep each other motivated. So yeah, you can still use your support network in different ways.
I think the number one mistake people make when they're first trying to start running and whatnot is that they go too fast. So I really love what Marcia said about starting with where you're at, because it's not supposed to hurt. It's supposed to be kind of enjoyable. So just, jog a little bit, walk a little bit. Yeah.
And you know what? Give yourself a reward at the end too, and I always like ice cream as a reward.
Okay.
So it's a really good way. Either if you like chocolate, give yourself a chocolate, just always give yourself a bit of reward, for new things that you've done or, new accomplishments.
What about gear for people wanting to run the virtual Pride K? The only thing I purchased was some sneakers. Is there anything you would suggest to them as they're getting into their new running journey?
Yeah, good
If
pair
you
of
have
shoes
clothes,
is a-
just make sure you wear some clothes, as you're going about.
I don't know. I've seen a couple people in the Pride 5K and they are not wearing very many clothes.
That's here. You're going to depend on the weather.
It's
Yeah.
very hot. But what are your thoughts for new runners? Anything, because that's what I love about this sport is that you don't need a lot of stuff. You can just get started. But I'm also a beginner. I don't want to be telling people the wrong thing. So tell me what your a few things you would think about getting.
I think you're absolutely right. You don't need all the trinkets. You don't need a fancy watch. Just go run. And I think the most important thing is to find a pair of shoes that you really feel comfortable in and break them in slowly.
Okay.
Second most important thing are socks. I think
Socks.
a good pair of moisture wicking socks will keep you from getting blisters, and so
my Target rainbow socks are not going to cut it. I'm going to have to look into this a little bit more. Probably not.
I mean, I love to wear my rainbow socks for the 5K every year for sure, but on a daily running basis, maybe we go for something a little bit more technical fabric.
But if you don't have technical fabric, I think putting some, Vaseline or something like that, around your feet so you don't get blisters. I think those are quite helpful, especially if you're in the private area too, would be quite helpful too.
Good to know. See,
Yeah.
These are the tips and tricks
Yeah.
I was after. This is stuff no one's going to tell you. Well, last question. I'm excited for this event. I wish you all the best. I'm so proud of front runners and walkers for stepping out and saying, hey, listen, we're going to do this event virtually this year. We're going to try something new and bring the community together. What are we all eating for breakfast before we run our 5K or walk our 5K?
First of all, you're assuming that you'll be doing it on the morning, but that because this is a virtual event, the first time where you can do it any time of the day.
Okay.
So you don't have to do it first thing in the morning.
People can do it after work.
You can do it after work, at home, doing it in the middle of the night if you want to be physically distanced from everybody. So I think it is really good. For me, I'm going to wake up, around 11 o'clock, and I'll just have my coffee, read my news, and then I'll just maybe, just run in the evening and post it online. Yeah, okay. That's my plan.
Very cute. Andy, what about you? When are you going to run this thing? And what are you having for breakfast?
Well, I will probably run on Saturday afternoon because I'm going to be tuning in to Pride Live on Saturday morning. And, my favorite breakfast food is apple fritters, but that's not really a great
not a pre-run.
That's a pretty infrequent breakfast food, but it's my favorite. It's a weakness. But yeah, I'll probably just a nice light lunch and then head out for my run in the afternoon. Yeah.
Love it. Marcia, what about you? When are you
Well,
going
the
to do it?
Pride 5K is always how I kick off the Pride weekend. So I'm going to keep it to Saturday morning. I'm going to start with a small granola bar, and then I'm actually keeping it at that time because I'm doing a kind of virtual celebration with a bunch of friends right after. So we're going to all do the run in the morning, and then we are going to celebrate with, as Alan says, some sort of treat or snack, but we'll do it together.
Well, that's fantastic. I love that people are going to be celebrating from home. So thank you so much for being with us today. Any last parting tips or anything you want to say about the virtual 5K before we go?
Well, I just want to say thank you to all the community members who have already signed up, and those of you who are considering signing up. This event is really supporting some really great causes, and we really look forward to hosting you on the Pride Parade route next year in 2021. So
yay, can't wait. And thank you on behalf of our staff, board, and all of our thousands of volunteers and everybody in the LGBT community. We're so proud of you. Thank you for doing this for us. And have a beautiful day. Stay safe.
Thank you so much for having us.
Okay. Bye, everybody. Happy Friday.